If you are living on Social Security right now, there is a major proposal making its way through Congress that could add $200 more to your monthly check. At the same time, the cost of living adjustment you receive this year is already being eaten away by rising prices faster than many people realize. These are two critical updates that every Social Security recipient needs to understand. And today, I am going to break down exactly what is happening, who would benefit, and what the realistic chances are of seeing any of these changes become law. Before we get into the details, if you want to stay informed about every Social Security update that could affect your monthly income, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel. We cover the latest news and changes every week in plain, simple terms, so you never miss anything important. Subscribers get notified the moment a new video drops, and with so many changes happening right now, you do not want to be left in the dark. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you are always one step ahead. Now let me explain what is happening with this major new proposal. Senator Bernie Sanders has reintroduced a plan called the Social Security Expansion Act, and if it were to become law, it would represent one of the most significant changes to the program in decades. The proposal has two main parts. First, it would increase monthly benefits for both current and future retirees. Supporters of the bill describe this increase as roughly $200 more per month, which adds up to about $2,400 per year in additional income. This increase would be achieved by adjusting the benefit formula that Social Security uses to calculate monthly payments. In simple terms, checks would rise across the board for everyone receiving benefits. The second part of the proposal addresses how to pay for these increased benefits. Right now, Social Security is funded primarily through payroll taxes that workers and employers pay on wages. However, there is a cap on how much income is subject to these taxes. In 2025, only earnings up to $176,100 are taxed for Social Security purposes. Any income above that cap is not subject to Social Security payroll taxes. This means that someone earning $500,000 per year pays the same amount into Social Security as someone earning $176,000. Once you hit the cap, you stop paying into the system for the rest of the year. Senator Sanders' proposal would change this by applying the 12.4% Social Security payroll tax to wages above $250,000. This would create what some call a donut hole, where income between the current cap and $250,000 remains untaxed, but everything above $250,000 becomes subject to the payroll tax again. For example, someone earning $300,000 per year would pay Social Security taxes on an additional $50,000 of income above that $250,000 threshold. At higher income levels, the additional tax grows significantly since every dollar above $250,000 would be included. But the proposal goes even further than just wages. It would also extend Social Security taxes to certain investment and business income for upper income households. This is significant because many high earners receive a substantial portion of their income from sources like dividends, capital gains, and business profits. Currently, these types of income are not subject to Social Security payroll taxes at all. By bringing this income into the funding stream, the proposal aims to significantly increase the revenue flowing into the Social Security system. The key point that supporters emphasize is that for most Americans, absolutely nothing would change. If your household earns $250,000 or less, you would see no increase in your Social Security payroll taxes. The additional cost would fall entirely on a relatively small group of high-income households. Meanwhile, the benefits of the expansion would flow to all Social Security recipients, including the millions of seniors currently living on fixed incomes who are struggling to keep up with rising costs. Now let me explain why this proposal is generating such strong reactions on both sides of the political aisle. Supporters argue that this approach asks the highest earners to pay more into a system that most Americans rely on for their retirement security. They frame the proposal as a way to strengthen Social Security, increase benefits for those who need them most, and avoid future benefit cuts without raising taxes on middle-class workers. From their perspective, it is simply a matter of fairness. Why should someone earning millions of dollars per year stop paying into Social Security after their first $176,000 of income, while workers earning modest wages pay on every dollar they earn? Opponents see the proposal very differently. They describe the changes as a significant tax increase on high-income households and warn that higher payroll and investment taxes could negatively affect business investment, hiring, and overall economic growth. The argument is that taxing investment income and high earners more heavily could discourage the kind of economic activity that creates jobs and drives prosperity. Some critics also raise concerns about the precedent of expanding payroll taxes to non-wage income, arguing that it fundamentally changes the nature of the Social Security system. Here is the political reality that everyone needs to understand. This bill has support from Democratic lawmakers, but it has little to no Republican backing. Social Security changes of this magnitude typically require bipartisan agreement to move forward. The program is often called the third rail of American politics because any changes are so politically sensitive. Both parties know that tens of millions of voters depend on Social Security, and neither party wants to be seen as threatening those benefits. At the same time, getting both parties to agree on how to strengthen the program has proven extremely difficult. For now, the chances of this specific proposal becoming law in its current form are relatively low given the divided political landscape. However, the fact that these discussions are happening at all reflects the growing recognition that something needs to be done to address Social Security's long-term funding challenges. The trust funds are projected to face shortfalls in the early to mid-2030s, and without action, benefits could be automatically reduced to match incoming revenue. That reality is putting pressure on lawmakers from both parties to find solutions, even if they disagree on what those solutions should look like. Now let me turn to another critical issue that is affecting your Social Security income right now. The cost of living adjustment for 2025 increased the average monthly benefit by about $56. This 2.8% increase was intended to help beneficiaries keep up with rising prices. But here is the problem. Inflation is already eating away at that increase faster than many people realize, and there are serious questions about whether the formula used to calculate the cost of living adjustment actually reflects the real expenses that retirees face. The cost of living adjustment system was first introduced in 1975 with a straightforward goal. It was designed to help Social Security beneficiaries maintain their purchasing power as prices rise over time. The idea is simple. If the cost of groceries, utilities, healthcare, and other essentials goes up, your Social Security check should go up by a similar amount so you can continue to afford the same standard of living. In theory, this makes perfect sense. In practice, however, the system has significant flaws that leave many retirees falling behind. The core problem is the index used to measure inflation for Social Security purposes. Currently, the cost of living adjustment is calculated using something called the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, known as CPIW. This index measures price changes for a basket of goods and services based on the spending patterns of urban workers and clerical employees. The problem is that retirees do not spend their money the same way that working-age adults do. Seniors typically spend a much larger share of their income on health care, prescription medications, and housing-related expenses. These are precisely the categories where prices have been rising fastest. Healthcare costs in particular have been outpacing general inflation for years. Medical care prices and overall health spending typically grow faster than prices in the rest of the economy. This means that even when the cost of living adjustment provides an increase, retirees often find that the rising cost of their healthcare expenses more than wipes out the gain. Consider Medicare Part B premiums as just one example. The standard Medicare Part B premium is projected to increase significantly, rising from $185 in 2025 to over $200 in 2026. That single increase can eat up a substantial portion of the cost of living adjustment that retirees received. There's an alternative index that many advocates argue would be far more appropriate for calculating Social Security cost of living adjustments. It is called the Consumer Price Index for the Elderly, known as CPIE. This index specifically measures price changes based on the spending patterns of Americans age 62 and older. Because it accounts for the higher healthcare spending that characterizes retirement, it typically shows higher inflation than the CPIW. Studies have shown that using the CPIE instead of the CPIW would result in higher cost of living adjustments over time, helping retirees better maintain their purchasing power. The Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan organization that advocates for senior issues, has argued that using the CPIW instead of the CPIE has cost the average retiree thousands of dollars over the course of their retirement. When you compound the effect of slightly smaller cost of living adjustments year after year, the cumulative impact becomes substantial. A retiree who has been collecting benefits for 20 years may be receiving significantly less than they would have if the more accurate CPIE index had been used all along. Here is what makes this situation even more frustrating for many Social Security recipients. Legislation to switch from the CPIW to the CPIE has been introduced in Congress numerous times over the past several years. There are currently multiple bills pending that would make this change. You might think that switching to a more accurate measure of inflation for seniors would be a relatively straightforward and non-controversial fix. After all, it is simply about using data that better reflects reality. Yet these bills have been met with resistance, and most have not even received a vote. This brings us to a broader point about how Social Security legislation moves through Congress. There are numerous proposals pending that would strengthen the program, increase benefits, or improve the lives of retirees in various ways. Yet many of these bills never get a vote. They are introduced, referred to committee, and then simply sit there without any action. This makes it difficult for voters to know where their elected representatives actually stand on these issues. If a bill never comes up for a vote, politicians can avoid going on record as either supporting or opposing it. For retirees who are struggling to make ends meet on their current benefits, this legislative inaction is deeply frustrating. Many seniors are living on Social Security incomes that put them at or near the poverty line. The average monthly benefit is just over $2,000, and for many retirees, Social Security represents their primary or even their only source of income. Every dollar matters when you are trying to cover housing, food, utilities, health care, and other essential expenses on a fixed income. The combination of inadequate cost of living adjustments and rising health care costs creates a situation where many retirees feel like they are falling further behind each year. Even when they receive a cost of living increase, the real purchasing power of their benefits may actually decline because the prices of the things they need most are rising faster than the adjustment accounts for. This is the hidden way that inflation erodes retirement security over time. Looking at the bigger picture, these two issues are connected. The push for benefit increases like the $200 per month proposed by Senator Sanders and the push for a more accurate cost of living adjustment formula both reflect the same underlying reality. Social Security benefits are not keeping pace with the actual costs that retirees face. Whether the solution involves raising benefits directly, changing how cost of living adjustments are calculated, or some combination of approaches, the core problem remains the same. Millions of American seniors are struggling financially, and the current system is not adequately addressing their needs. What can you do with this information? First, stay informed about these proposals and track their progress through Congress. Understanding what is being proposed and where different lawmakers stand can help you make informed decisions at the ballot box. Second, consider reaching out to your elected representatives to share your perspective on these issues. Congressional offices do pay attention to constituent feedback, and hearing from voters about the real impact of Social Security on their lives can influence how legislators approach these issues. Third, focus on what you can control in your own financial planning. While you cannot control what Congress does, you can make smart decisions about things like when to claim your benefits, how to manage your expenses, and how to maximize any additional income sources you may have. Working with a financial advisor or using the planning tools available on the Social Security Administration website can help you optimize your own situation regardless of what happens with legislation. Finally, be aware of the timeline for Social Security's funding challenges. The trust funds are projected to face shortfalls in the early to mid-2030s. This puts pressure on Congress to act at some point, though exactly when and how remains uncertain. Understanding this timeline can help you plan accordingly and stay alert for any significant legislative developments as that deadline approaches. The bottom line is that Social Security remains the foundation of retirement security for tens of millions of Americans. The proposals being discussed in Congress, from benefit increases to cost of living adjustment reforms, reflect an ongoing debate about how to strengthen that foundation for current and future retirees. While the political path forward remains uncertain, staying informed about these developments is one of the most important things you can do to protect your financial future. If you found this information helpful, make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you never miss an important update about Social Security. We break down every significant development in plain language so you always understand what is happening with your benefits. Hit that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next video with more updates that matter to your retirement security.